This is how difficult it is to actually manage. You just watched a video of what this weapon is capable of. That's where we find our confidence, is in the skill of men and women and the capability of the systems they employed, and the recognition so far in the reflections that it was a highly successful mission.
Let's get a bit of analysis on this now. Joe Siracusa is an inaugural professor of global futures at Curtin University. He joins us live now from Melbourne in Australia. Thanks very much for being with us. So I want to ask you, first of all, on your impressions of what we had just been hearing there from the Pentagon.
Oh, good afternoon, Hassan. Well, look, I was sort of amused at what was going on. The Secretary of Defense started to attack the media. He wasn't really interested in an intelligence assessment, which is quite different, by the way, from an after-battle assessment. And the general and the chief, of course, is explaining the long work that goes into these things and the targeting and the brave men and women and all the rest of it. I mean, it was sort of beside the point. Now, look, because I've had a long career in national security and diplomacy, I have read and talked to almost every man or woman who's written a major intelligence report, beginning with Paul Nitze, who co-authored the Strategic Bombing Survey during the Second World War. And I can tell you this, that no amount of bombs used on a single day is going to end anybody's long-term prospects for nuclear weapons. I mean, this American attack is doomed to failure. The Iranians, of course, have dispersed their knowledge and their fissile material and the rest of it. I mean, I think it's, at the end of the day, the United States is going to have to decide 3 or 4 years down the road whether they want to go to war with Iran or whether they're going to tolerate a nuclear weapon. This idea that everything can be settled in 12 days or so, I mean, this is ridiculous. And it's sort of a beggar's belief that these very senior people, none of whom, by the way, read anything. I mean, they have no sense of history or the intelligence reports. I mean, you want to talk about intelligence, let's talk about Pearl Harbor intelligence, that kind of thing. People get it wrong. And there are 18 agencies that perform this intelligence work in the United States, requiring $72 billion. And that doesn't even include the military intelligence people. So there are lots of good people there, good men and women looking at the problem from every angle. This idea that you have to decide whether in 3 or 4 days that these installations don't exist anymore. I mean, and what they mean. You could say that it's not there anymore, but what does it mean? Well, no one has really talked about the intelligence aspect or what it means, because that takes a little bit of time and a little bit of space. But I thought it was fairly inept performance. Suggests how I think sensitive the Trump administration is to any criticism. I mean, the idea that you can't even raise an objection without being anti-American is ridiculous. So I think the Trump people are on the defensive here. The Iranians can say what they want, but they have dispersed it. And by the way, the Iranians, they don't have to build anything. You could get a bomb from the old AQ Khan network in Pakistan. You can buy the stuff off the shelf. I mean, you don't need it. And of course, the Iranians have understood what the Americans understood during the Cold War. Having nuclear weapons, of course, is the great equalizer. No one messes with you if you have nuclear weapons. Can you actually use them in a conventional way, that is, threaten people below the nuclear level? No, you can't. So it's sort of redundant there. But no, I think the Iranians will live to survive another day.
All right, good to get your analysis on this, Joe Siracusa. We're going to have to leave it there.